HoopRipz, what's up? Actually, today Ryan's going to do the little intro. So, Ryan, take it away.
HoopRipz, what is up? Welcome, squad. Over to you, Doze.
Great intro. Oh, man.
I told y'all, I fucking body everybody.
Ryan was saying he would crush the intro. So, that was the intro from Ryan.
Yeah, the first six words
good.
of the intro.
YouTube. What is up?
Yeah,
Welcome.
what's up?
All
right, let's get this thing back on the rails. Hey, HoopRipz, welcome to episode 19. We're coming to you late Monday night. Late. We normally try and do these things not this late in the day, but, you know, Ryan's a double dad duty, so things happen. But nonetheless, it's Monday.
Dad of duty.
Doo-doo dad.
Dude, yeah, I'll save that story for later in the show, but it's not a good one.
All right. Anyway. Hey, yesterday was the All-Star game. A lot of fun, lot to talk about, especially for us Islanders. Okay.
Was it fun? Like, was it fun though? Like, let's be honest.
You don't have to lie.
It wasn't fun.
It was
fun
moments.
for Mike for a minute.
There were some good moments, man.
It gets worse every year. Every fucking year.
Yeah. We'll get into that. We'll get into all that.
Mike don't right now.
Before we get there, we got a couple other things to talk about. But even before we get there, you know who it is. It's me, Erik, your host. With me is Ryan Abriel, who's currently ripping up a
we got a Hoops Premium Stock Blaster. Now, I will tell y'all, these right now, they're not the best value. You pull a lot of straight cheeks in these. And I did pull a couple heaters just now that I'll kind of showcase throughout the show. But if you're going to be looking for cards, don't get a blaster. Get
Show
a
the big
cello.
box so people see what that is.
Yeah, so don't get these.
The big box.
It's a 32 piece. Okay,
Jeez.
Avoid these, motherfucker. There is absolute dog shit in these. Do not. Sorry,
Make
Jack.
sure you know the difference between blasters and hangers. Though.
Yeah.
Right,
some of us don't. Shout out
in
to
college baseball and professional baseball.
Yeah, as a miracle.
Those loves cards.
Shout out, Will Klein.
When he blows up.
Have you guys seen my Will Klein card?
Doze is gonna throw in our face when that guy goes yard.
Tape
He's a
this up
pitcher.
on the wall.
Never mind.
Yeah, dude, he's a pitcher for Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, when he
Sick.
throws dirt.
Dirt McGirt. All right. So yeah, Ryan, how are you, man? Currently, you're ripping open a pack.
Good. I pulled a LeBron just now. Backstage pass insert card. Not bad. It's not a prism though, but it's not a bad base. Yeah, and I pulled a Joel Embiid base card.
Ooh,
you know, his
MVP.
card's going to go up. Exactly. Right now, he's the odds-on.
Wait,
favorite.
when you say it's not a prism, I thought prism was like a brand.
Prism is a brand, but they also have what's called like Prism Parallels, which are like, for example, let me show you. So this right here is a Prism Parallel. It's a Jackson Hayes. This one's called like a Mojo. This whole like
it's got
pattern.
like the design.
Well, not even design. It has like, so if you look on the back of it, you see the top left says Prism below the number.
Oh yeah.
I see it.
Oh.
So any kind of color variation that's not a base card is considered a prism because of the special edition pattern, the color, you know, the silver, the green. So, but Prism is its own brand.
That is news to me.
So that's the thing. People are get pretty mean about that stuff. If like you list something as Prism and you don't put like parallel or like SP for like short print, they'll like fucking like rip you apart because like, that's not a Prism, motherfucker. And I'm like, well, it says it on the back of the card. Like so people are just freaking snobby. And then I pulled a jaw base tribute, which is awesome. I have about 15 of these with PSA right now. And they better fucking get 10s. Problem with these cards is that these cards are often printed not centered all the way. As you can see on the borders, there's more space on like this side than there is on that side. It's like hardly noticeable, but if you look at enough of these, you'll know pretty quickly that this is going to be probably a 9 because it's just the overall box in the middle where Jaws that frame.
Bunch of lazy asses over there, man.
Yeah, I just sold one on eBay for like $5 because it was so misprinted. Like this frame here was all the way to the edge of the silver. You couldn't see silver on the left side.
This is a
it was
terrible
that bad. So I had to sell it. And someone bought it for like $5. I'm like, fine, fucking do what you want with that. Use it as a bookmark in your Bible or something. So
well, that was the longest way of me asking how Ryan is. So
I forgot that's what we were
I
doing.
just spilled Gatorade all over myself.
all right. Well,
My
Ryan.
goodness.
Oh, gross, dude.
Oh gosh, you see my penis.
And with us also is Mike. Hey, Mike, how are you? Since we'll just keep this rolling.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, dude,
I'm
that's
good, man.
not good.
I'm really good. How are you, Doz?
Hey, I'm doing well.
No,
Yeah,
hey,
you better.
End
You
of
better.
story.
need more than that. No, Mike, tell him.
No. Doz almost. I said I need more than good, and Doz was about to give me the good, dude. He was like, "I'm doing well. I'm doing well." Although that's second worst, dude. So I'll let that one slide right now.
Hey, well, let's keep this show on the road. Before we get to talking All-Star, there's a couple breaking news topics. Monday, early morning this morning, we got the news that Blake Griffin is going to join the Nets along with Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. This has been a long time coming since the buyout with the Pistons and all of that. But, Mike, I want to throw it over to you first. Do you envision, similar to Harden joining the Nets, a revitalization in Blake's career? Was he just sick of Detroit and wanted to be out, and he's still a relevant NBA player? Or is Blake Griffin nothing more than a three-point shooter that doesn't dunk anymore?
I think he's relevant as long as he stays healthy. I think that's his biggest issue, and the fact that he was stuck in Detroit. I mean, we talked about this a while back. All these episodes are starting to blur together. But I think it all depends on injuries, like we mentioned. Do we think he's going to start at power forward?
He's not starting.
Be a starter?
They've already said he's off the bench.
He's going to come off the bench.
That's been the report. He's going to come off the bench.
Okay, so then he's probably – is he just going to get like 18 minutes a game and try and win a ring? Is he just ring chasing right now? Does he actually have anything left in the tank?
100p, he's ring chasing. I think you actually went out and said that today, that he wants to contend for a championship, and this was his pitch.
He did say
AKA, AKA, I want a ring. Ring chase.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Ryan, what are your thoughts on the whole move, man?
I mean, I was really hoping he wasn't going to pick the Nets because I think the Nets already have too much firepower, but I'm also not surprised he picked the Nets. I don't blame the guy, especially because, they signed him for the veterans minimum because he got a buyout with Detroit, so he's making double racks in a sense, right? So he's set financially. He's got $36 million from Detroit, and he's got an additional, I think, $5 million from the Nets. So he's got $41 million to come off the bench. Play me 2 minutes a game. I will gladly take $41 million for 2 minutes. But I think he'll be a great kind of 1-2 punch in terms of filling in for DeAndre Jordan. Both of them always have kind of had the same playing style, dating back to the Clippers with like Lob City, high flying finishes at the rim. Mike brings up a good point. Griffin's been injured the last 2 seasons. But a lot of those injuries, I don't know. I'm not questioning them, but maybe he's taken more time off than he maybe needed to because he's like, I don't want to come back and play for this shitty franchise. Like, what's the rush? Now I think you might see a different motivated Blake Griffin.
He might have held back a little bit too in Detroit.
Yeah, 12 points this season. He had no dunks, at one point.
He hasn't dunked. He still hasn't dunked. I'm not sure. Like you say, he's a high flyer. I'm not sure.
Racks.
Oh boy,
right here, racks. He was playing this weekend
man.
with some of the boys. He was ripping, by the way. Ripping.
He had like 500 viewers.
Yeah, he had 11 kills with 80 left. Anyways, I was shook.
Yeah. Back to Blake Griffin. I'm not so sure. I don't know. I'll need to see if he can turn it on. I'm not sure. Like James Harden, we saw can turn it off and on whenever he wants. I'm not sure.
Weight as well.
I'm not sure Blake Griffin can do that, man. I don't know. I mean, he's defaulted himself to a 3-point shooter, and he's not even really doing that all that well. I'll be curious to see if, a lot of guys get a little, I don't know, jolt of energy and resurgence with a change of scenery. I'm sure he'll like Brooklyn better than Detroit. Detroit's arena isn't even in Detroit. It's up in like Auburn Hills, Michigan. It's like serious middle of nowhere. So I don't know. I'm not so sure. I think sure he'll help. He'll maybe come off the bench and give you another 12 points. Sure. But like, they could get that from a lot of people in the NBA at this point, and they're paying him, I guess, at the minimum. But Blake Griffin's getting paid a lot of money to do a whole lot of BS, man. So we'll see. We'll see. More to come on that. I'll be anxious to see if he's at all relevant? What you got there, Ryan? Kyrie?
Speaking of the Nets, got a Mojo Prism of Kyrie, but if you look closely, look on this side, there's too much space in between the frame and the edge of the card relative to this side. So again, this is another fucking misprint. So it's like a Mojo of Kyrie Irving, first-year Nets, Kyrie Irving.
They shouldn't be allowed to mess up those cards. Like the base ones, okay, whatever. But those ones, they shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, I only see these happen, bro, mostly in blasters. It's the weirdest thing. I've never had any other issue with the hangers or anything. It's the blasters that get butt rammed by Panini. So definitely can't grade this one. Which sucks, because this could have been probably a $200, $300 card if it was a 10. So.
Well, let's take it over to a different card brand outside of Panini, and let's talk about Topps, because a Topps Chrome Kobe Bryant rookie card sold for $1.8 million today in a private auction. Ryan, I know you probably have a little bit more info on this than some of us, but was it a rookie? Yeah, it was a 2006. It was printed in 2006, but it was a rookie card. It was a
How does that work?
It was a BGS 10 out of 10. So yeah,
which is
Ryan,
insane.
You said they're more critical. BGS is more critical than PSA.
Yeah. So it was a Topps Chrome. It's a refractor, right? So it has that kind of that silver hollow look to it, that rainbow heat we always talk about. But BGS arguably is the most critical grading company in the world, because I think similar to PSA, when you assess a card, you look at the details, the centering, the edges, the surface, the corners, right? But PSA doesn't ever publicize kind of like their feedback in those categories. They kind of just internalize it and then get one score. BGS or Beckett, on the other hand, is, they actually give you your slab with, they give you the overall score, which is going to be right here, right in the 10, which says pristine, but they also give you 4 different scores under those 4 categories I just mentioned. So they are so hypercritical of cards that getting a 10 is extremely rare. A 9.5 BGS is basically a 10 PSA. That's kind of the conversion chart that I've seen. So a 10 BGS will always beat out a 10 PSA, same card. So honestly, this card, if it was a PSA 10, I was reading kind of a blog about that. Someone said it probably would have went for like $1.1 million. So this guy probably made 600, 700,000 more because it was a BGS 10, which is, again, it's pristine. That's the top of the business. And there's only 2 of these cards in existence that are 10s. The rest of these are 9s and lower of this same card. So the fact that this is one of 2, a pop one of 2.
Where's the other one, man? Is it in someone's attic? Where's the other one?
Potentially. But I mean,
probably
that's
torn
just,
to shit.
It's insane. And it's sad because a lot of the Kobe stuff has gotten priced too ever since his passing, right? I mean, more so if they said like since his passing in last January, there's been over, I think, 3 million listings on like auction sites of Kobe Bryant memorabilia, which is like 150% more than any of the last 10 years combined. Like, people are just like, I hate to say it, but cashing in on his notoriety. And so this is just another example of his stuff is in such demand, because you're never going to have like a rookie card of Kobe. You're never going to have an autograph again. So it's like people are spending crazy money for his stuff.
Yeah, man, crazy. But that was big money, big racks. I don't know. What's the most expensive sale you've ever seen, Ryan? Got me thinking.
Personally, I know a guy, kind of guy who kind of mentored me the last couple of years. He sold a Luka. He paid $20,000 for it, and then he ended up selling it for around $80,000. He sold it for $80,000 about 6 weeks later. So what had happened was he was doing a live break, because he owns his own like online card shop. Did a live break, pulled this 1-of-1 Luka Black Prism card. He ended up buying it from the guy that he pulled it for $20,000, waited 6 months, sold it on a private eBay site, a private eBay store, for $80,000, which was insane. And the listing fee, which I think was only like about 1 or 2%. So ended up pocketing $76,000 just for,
Jeez.
So he netted, I think, $57,000, which is insane. And he was very quick to flaunt that. Another buddy of mine actually just pulled a 1-of-1 Nebula Mosaic Ja Morant. He sold that for $100,000 actually just 2 weeks ago, and he got it graded, and it was a 10. That's a life-changing card. Now he spent $1,000 on the hobby box that he pulled it from because it's an investment. But my God, he made his money back, I would dare say.
Man, someday we'll buy one of those and rip into something like that.
Well, that's been another episode about that because I have a strong point of view about why that stuff's kind of overrated. Like why chasing that stuff is not worth your time or money. But again, that's a whole other episode. Well, let's cut the BS. Let's get into dude, some good shit.
That was some good shit. Great shit.
Let's give the people what they want, man. NBA All-Star yesterday, the whole shebang. It was all in one day as opposed to over a 2 or 3 day span like we normally see. And it was a very different viewing experience than in the past. Typically we've got all like the skills and all that stuff on one night, kind of culminating in the dunk contest. Last night, dunk contest was a halftime of the All-Star game, and everything else was part of the pregame show. But there was definitely some good moments. So let's just run down the line. Skills challenge, Mike. I'm going to throw it over to you. Sabonis won this. We saw two big men in the finals for this. Our very own Rocco competed in it from the Blazers. But overall, Mike, I know that you've expressed a lot of displeasure with the skills competition. So why don't you just run it down for us, man?
Yeah.
What's up?
Before I get into that, Ryan just held up that Vucevic card, which reminded me of the skills challenge when Vucevic was running down the court to go shoot the final three. That's at the end of the skills challenge, and Shaq was going, "Shoot that bitch, shoot that bitch," and I thought he was saying, "Shoot that bitch" on live TV over and over and over
again.
Dude,
so was I.
He knew what he was saying. He knew what he was saying.
Oh, he knew. He knew.
100p.
He knew.
I was like, wait,
absolutely.
Is he saying what I think he's saying?
I was sitting with my parents, and I'm like, is he sitting? And I was like, is this guy saying what I think he's saying?
You say the bitch word on TV? Yeah. On the TV?
Keel,
anyway. Yeah. Anyway, that reminded me of that. No, skills challenge is the most pointless thing at the All-Star game. I think all of the contestants were actually all-stars or in the three-point contest, so they were already there in Atlanta. And while I think it's cool that Robert Covington was there, he flew all the way to Atlanta and did one round of the skills challenge for 20 seconds, and then he had to go home. Then he was done. That was it. I think he was the only one there.
On, though. He was part of the whole HBCU stuff.
HBCU.
And all that.
Yeah, true. Showed up in the Tennessee State jersey.
Yeah, that was tight, which I thought was a knockoff LSU jersey when I first saw it. Their logo looks exactly like LSU's with the tiger and everything.
Yeah, it did.
So,
but skills challenge, I think it's so pointless, man. It's so pointless.
I don't think it actually is that many skills, to be totally honest. It's basically who can run down and back, who can run down and back and make a three first. Like that's basically it. You have one pass, a layup, and a three. Like that's all you're asking these guys to do. I think they could make the skills competition much more challenging, and it would make it, I think, more engaging. I feel like it used to be more passes, harder, like bigger zigzags.
Crossovers or something, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right now it's a YMCA youth basketball drill that you play at the end of practice as like a game or something.
You could get a whole thing of like street ball inspired ball handles where you have to like do like that roll on the ground, like slip and slide thing underneath something. And like you have to like do all this stuff and maintain control of the ball. And then like, I think they could make it more engaging. But yeah, dude,
I think they're just trying to find a third event with the 3-point contest and dunk contest. And it's so far behind both of those. It's not even funny.
Everyone keeps talking about a one-on-one tournament, which would be super interesting. Do you guys remember?
That would be the best, I think, if that actually happens.
Do you guys remember that drill in practice? And Ryan, you might do this with your kids now, where everyone's lined up under the hoop and one guy has a ball and a defender comes out and it's just one-on-one. And if you stop him, you stay on. If you stop him, yeah, it's king of the court, whatever. I think that could be really interesting. And it's like 1st to 21, but you got like 8 guys that are just rotating through, and you could get on. One guy gets on a hot streak. You got James Harden out there just hitting step back after step back, and it's just getting louder and louder. I think that could be a lot of fun. But
yeah, they got to change it somehow, man. They got to get rid of that and switch it up.
Yeah, I have confidence in the NBA that they're usually the league on top of those kind of things.
That they know it sucks,
and they know what the fans are feeling, and a lot of times the NBA leads from the front in that way compared to other leagues. But the past couple of years we've seen big men do really well in that contest. So who knows, man? It's not the most exciting, but let's move on to what was probably the most exciting moment of the night was the 3-point contest. At least one of the more exciting ones, with Steph coming out. It was rumored that he showed up to the locker room and pulled a Larry Bird and said, which one of you guys is coming in second? Which I thought was interesting, which is hilarious. And so Ryan, did you watch the 3-point contest? What were your thoughts?
Yeah.
Mike Conley showed out a little bit. Otherwise it was
good for him, man.
There were some guys that kind of choked.
Yeah, no, Mike Conley definitely, I was shitting on him just like a couple episodes ago, and now he's out there, an all-star, second place, 3-point.
Doesn't mean you're good.
Doesn't mean you're good. Runner-up in a 3-point contest, but it ended how we thought it was going to be. I actually thought Zach LaVine was going to, give Steph Curry the greatest kind of run or challenge, for everything. But I mean, they interviewed Steph during the game, the All-Star game, and he was like, sometimes you just show up to the locker room and don't have to say anything because they see you and they already know. And so that's kind of what he said. So I believe that. I don't think he said anything, but I do believe his aura, his presence was like, fuck, like we're all fighting for last place. Like Steph's going to get 1 through 5. Who's going to get 6? So, I mean, I think honestly, I was telling a couple friends of mine, I'm like, I think Steph missed the first rack on purpose to keep it interesting in that last round, just so he could kind of have that dramatic ending where it came down to the last shot. Cause he whiffed the first rack and I'm like, oh fuck, that's weird. But yeah, it looked like he was doing it on purpose. And then he heated up when he got to the top of the key and then obviously had that last shot. You knew he was going to win. It's just a matter of how. Man, and he's just he's a big fan of the dramatic. So I'm happy for him. It was probably the most exciting thing of the whole night. Other than that, it was straight cheeks.
It was fun to hear Reggie Miller calling out like the greatest shooter the game has ever seen and things like that coming from Reggie Miller was fun to hear from an announcer standpoint. Steph was fun, man. I thought there were some guys that I feel like I was watching Jason Tatum and I didn't realize he had like a hitch in his shot. I don't know if he normally does, but he had like a weird shoulder. He had like a weird little shoulder, like, I don't know. I'd never seen that before from Jason Tatum, who I've normally thought had a really nice looking shot, but he had some weird motion. Otherwise,
you didn't really see it from that angle, though, right?
I know, right behind over their shoulder.
So now you were seeing he kind of brings it super close in. And he kind of like pops it. It's super interesting. It was
kind of funky. I could not take my eyes off it. I was like, I've never noticed that about his jumper. But anyway, Steph dominating that. That was kind of to be expected. And then we moved into obviously the All-Star game, but I want to talk about the dunk contest. A lot of hate. Every year, the dunk contest usually sparks the most controversy around, scoring and all that stuff. This one was a little bit on the underwhelming side from a name standpoint. Obviously, the three of us know a little bit about Anthony, all being Blazers followers and fans, but Obi Toppin, Cassius Stanley, what were your guys' thoughts on the dunk contest overall? Mike, I'll go to you first, but new format. Hopefully this isn't the format that stays. I think they had to find some kind of loophole or workaround for doing it at halftime, but it felt weird. It didn't feel that great. None of the dunks were that amazing. So Mike, what were your thoughts, man?
Yeah, it was pretty underwhelming in terms of like creativity and stuff with the dunks. I think the best dunk of the night was Cassius Stanley. I don't think it's really up for debate, which was the first one, which he got absolutely shafted on in terms of score. And
that was the lob between the legs, right?
Yeah.
He lobbed it up and then went between the legs.
Dunk. Yeah. Him and Obi should have been the final two they voted on. Like their first two dunks were the best.
And I don't think Ant necessarily had like the dopest dunks. Like they were creative, whatever. He didn't throw any down with power or anything like that. But I think what he had going for him was he made all 3 dunks on the first attempt, and that's where Cassius and Obi kind of screwed themselves. I think Obi's dunk in the championship round was probably harder and cooler, but he missed the first one, made the second one. I think judges definitely take that into consideration when they're giving out those scores, even if it is a difficult dunk. If Anthony would have actually kissed the rim, I think like a lot of people were saying, even commentators were saying, that it was like 50s all around or 10s all around. Yeah.
He wasn't even close.
I'm happy that Ant won. Yeah, he wasn't, dude. And then I was like, he made a business decision didn't want to go to the dentist.
For the teeth.
He said he's never actually, I read an article, he said he's tried the dunk before, but he's never actually kissed the rim. He tries to get as close as possible. And he just felt he needed to go for it. And Dame's the one who actually told him that he should do it. And so, because Ant wanted to like do one where he cocked it way behind his back or whatever. And Dame's like, I've never seen someone kiss the rim. So he went with that one.
Yeah, it was overall, I think for Anthony, the thing that also helped, he was the only one that did any sort of theatrics every time. And that's always been a part of the dunk contest. He brought out the mini hoop. He put on the T-Mac jersey. Like, he was the only one that did any sort of showmanship. Obi brought his dad out and missed the first dunk when he jumped over Julius and his dad. But yeah, it just felt rushed. It felt like it was like rapid fire, like one after the other, go, go, go. Like normally there's like all this build up. Guys are storming the court. Like, you missed having the players like in the street clothes on the sideline, like filming it and freaking out. I actually went back and watched the Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon dunk contest from like 2016.
Best of all time, dude.
He really is.
That was so good.
Just like the guys storming the court and grabbing them, and like that's like what you want. And to the point Mike made of making it on the first attempt, like that's when you miss the first attempt, you lose the crowd immediately. And
they know what you're doing.
Yeah, you lose the crowd. You use that off factor. I think Magic Johnson tweeted it wasn't the greatest dunk contest he'd ever seen. But overall, I thought it was, like I said, good for Anthony. I think people saw that he had bounce. I think after the game, like D-Wade and Kenny, or after the dunk contest, D-Wade and Kenny and all those guys were like, if you're Terry Stotts, you got to find a way to get this man to the rim. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
If this guy has this 40,
people will now move out of the way, right? Because of the reputation of winning a dunk contest. He doesn't even need to, if he just like takes 2 steps or two dribbles into the paint, someone's going to move and he'll have free dunks and layups all day now. Hopefully.
We'll see if that lore of being a dunk champ comes with it. But I thought it was hilarious that at one point one of Obi Toppin's dunks where he threw it between his legs and then dunked it, someone was like, oh, but Zach LaVine did that in the layup line yesterday. Like, it was Zach LaVine did the same dunk in the layup line.
The contestants weren't just as good. They just weren't as good. And LaVine and Aaron Gordon are like 2 of the best dunk contest contestants of all time. 100%.
Yeah. Man, that dunk by Aaron Gordon when he went over the mascot double under both his legs, that photo where his butt is like 9 feet in the air. Like, it's like the most unbelievable thing. And it's just unbelievable.
I remember watching him at the Les Schwab tournament here in Portland when he was a senior in high school. It was insane. He dunked everything. Not that the competition was great. He was playing Oregon high school basketball teams who were considered really good. And I think their tallest dudes are like 6'4". So,
yeah. Ryan, what is a slam dunk contest that sticks out in your memory from the past? Obviously, the LaVine Aaron Gordon one was a recent one, but are there any other ones that come to mind that you watched, remembered, would put a poster on your wall or something like that?
Yeah, I actually had a Jason Richardson poster on my wall. I think he was one of the originators of the between the legs dunk. I think he went between the legs.
He went off the glass. He went off the glass too.
He went off the glass. Yeah. And so I had a picture of that dunk on my wall when I was in middle school and high school for the longest time, because I thought that was one of the best dunks I've ever seen. And it still is. I mean, that's when the dunk contest was one of those things where you had never seen what you were seeing, right? It was truly unprecedented. Now you're seeing the same bullshit every year, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And it's just, and Mike brought up a good point. It just comes down to who doesn't miss their dunks anymore. Like, if that's the case, like get rid of it. And we talked about it last episode, or bring in professional dunkers. I even had a thought, actually my wife had a thought. She goes, why don't these, the NBA picks like 4 dunk contestants, but then they kind of create their own team of dunkers. Right. And so it's like a dunk off.
That would be sick.
Of teams where like, she's like LeBron James leads a team of, maybe he picks 2 NBA players, 1 influencer and somebody else, that's notable within the basketball space. And then like, they all take turns doing a dunk, and then like the highest, score combined, moves on to the next round. And so we were just kind of shooting the shit about it, but I'm like, that's actually not a bad idea, because it's bringing in a mix of both professional athletes and professional dunkers, but all of them are relevant in some space when it comes to basketball. Maybe it's a longer event, but fuck, it'd make it better. I mean, 100% make it better. And so, I mean, it clearly is the dunk contest needs some love right now.
Yeah, I think you were asked. The NBA was asked to, make an impossible situation seem cool, and trying to squeeze it in at halftime is not ideal in any stretch of the imagination. They probably told the guys like, "Hey, your dunk can't take more than 30 seconds. You can't bring in a car. You can't do that. Like, you just got to get in there and do it."
That's true. The props are probably limited. No Kias this time.
No Kias. But yeah, it's interesting. Or even you could even do like a horse style dunk where like one guy does it off the glass between the legs and someone from the other team has to match it or something like that. That could be really interesting.
NBA Live did that in 2006 or 7. I remember playing it on PC, and it was a game of horse. But dunk contests are the hardest fucking thing in video games ever.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever won.
All these combination joysticks.
You're joysticks like this, dude.
I just button mash. I'm like, well, that would dunk sucked.
All that stuff.
It's kind of like when you're in the air playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. You just hit all the buttons and hope you
land straight.
The Jesus Christ one where he spins like this.
Oh, that's the best one. That's the best one.
What was that called? Was it called the Jesus? I can't remember what it was called.
The Adosement, I think, something like that. It's pretty good.
Oh man, that was great. Shout out Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4.
Bob Burnquist, dog, 100p.
Bob Burnquist.
It was called Christ Air.
Yes, the Christ Air, dude.
I just pictured those just like boobs out, just flying.
No, dude, you had to have the character with the eyeball head. Remember that one? Like it was like the Activision eyeball head.
Oh yeah. That was a great game.
What a game. What a game. Ryan's losing it, man.
I can't because I relived the moment when Doze did it. And like it brought me back to my N64 and my purple control. I literally just the smile, eyes closed.
Controller, bro. The purple see-through controller.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with that. I had the Game Boy that was like that. I had the controller. I loved that.
Oh my God, I'm crying. That's so funny.
Well, let's move on to the final event of the night, the actual game itself. Team LeBron, Team Durant. I think the whole world predicted LeBron's team would win. Kevin Durant drafted a terrible team. I mean,
bro, hell of a GM.
What was he thinking?
He seemed too focused on drafting his boys and like his teammates and like
thought about the other players that were way better than them.
Oh, wait a minute. He has Steph, Luka, Dave, and everybody else. And it didn't help him that he couldn't play, Booker couldn't play, Embiid couldn't play. They were all on his team. Certainly would have been closer with at least two of those guys. But Ryan, what were your thoughts overall on the game? I know the three of us were texting a little bit at the beginning, and it was sloppy. I think there was like 6 missed dunks in the game overall. There weren't any like really major like wow plays. The half court shots were obviously fun, but Ryan, what were your overall thoughts of the game and impressions, moments that stood out?
Yeah, I'm just not a fan. I know I've kind of said that in pieces earlier, but I'm just not a fan of All-Star Weekend anymore. It just doesn't get me excited. I remember as a kid, I used to be like, I could not sleep the week leading up to it because you're going to watch KG and Stefan Marbury and Iverson and Grant. Like, you were going to watch like the absolute best. And for the most part, I remember those guys. I mean, I was younger, but I thought they played a little bit harder. And I remember I remember it being like matchup driven. I remember there was one play in particular. It was like an ISO of like Jason Kidd and Iverson going head to head. And everybody just cleared out, right? I would love to see more of that. Just kind of what like LeBron and Giannis last year, Kobe and LeBron a couple of years back. I think, if I'm not a big fan of ISO ball, but I do think in an All-Star game, that's what you want to see. You want to see who the best players in the world are. You want to see them go head to head and kind of body each other. And I think you didn't get any of that yesterday. You literally got, I think the West or LeBron's team shot 72 threes, I think. And I thought KD's team shot around 67, close to 70, but they're just throwing up threes. And I think my last point about this is that the game was whatever. Like Giannis didn't miss a shot, but I think Doe's probably a good point, and Mike did too later on. But like it was all dunks and layups. Yeah, he made three-pointers using the backboard, but like he was really he literally could not miss because he was shooting from fucking 2 feet, right? I did think, albeit Dame had a slow start, Dame should have been considered. I thought Steph had a better weekend. So I think they should have factored that into it. But as far as MVP of the game, but they got to play for bigger stakes. Remember the All-Star game in MLB used to be winner of the game gets home field advantage in the World Series. Like
that's crazy. That's crazy.
I love that.
I don't know if I like that stakes. I like having stakes on it, but I don't know if I like it deciding the World Series, because then you have guys that are playing in the World Series or in the NBA Finals who had nothing to do with what happened. Like, I don't know, man. But I do agree some
I
stakes.
see what you mean.
Money, like, or something to make these, like the charity thing. Certainly, you see the guys want to win money for charity, and LeBron's team certainly.
Durant's team didn't.
I know, but they still got 500,000 or something. But I don't know. It seems like they're trying, but yeah, there were some good moments, but it wasn't all. I do like the matchups like you're talking about. Like, you remember some of those iconic ones when Kobe had the ball and LeBron's like clapping, getting down in the stands.
Yeah,
like, that was fun.
I need that. There's not as many rivalries in the league. Everyone's friends now. They don't want to go through all that stuff.
It'd been fun to have like a Dame and Russ one would have been fun. If Russ was good enough this year, like that'd be one you want to see, right? Russ doing up Dame, right? And vice versa. Yeah. What do you guys think of like the whole fact of the matter? They kind of make each quarter a game kind of thing. And then the kind of the Elam ending where they play to a certain score. I thought the Elam ending.
I like the ending a lot.
But yesterday it was kind of pointless because the 20-point.
It was because it was a blowout.
Right? So,
it usually isn't like that, I think, since they've incorporated that rule. Because I remember, the one before last year, the first one.
And it ended on an Anthony Davis free throw. But it was still hyped up.
That. But it was a close game, and it was
it was close. Remember, Kyle Lowry took a charge. LeBron had a block. Like, it got really.
See, that's what I want to see. I want to see that more than just the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. I want to see it for like maybe the second half.
Well, LeBron didn't play the second half, right? LeBron didn't play at all in the second half.
Yeah, LeBron.
He didn't want to be there at all, but he had to.
So it's like, I think that's the thing. You run into guys who they think big picture. They think, playoffs and finals. So I agree with you, Mike. That last 2 minutes of that game were fucking intense. And like, that's the best in the world right there.
I feel like
it's so fun to watch, man.
You gotta at least approach it from the mindset of, for this first half, I'm literally just looking to like see something I've never seen before. I'm looking for someone to.
Yeah, it's got to be a mix.
Throw it off the backboard, between the legs, throw it up to someone else, 360. Like, you're looking for like the eye-popping play for the first half, and then maybe you say, okay, let's lock it in the second half. But hey, lock it in. So I don't know. Ryan, lock it in, bro. We've lost Ryan to Call of Duty.
I've lost.
But
for the last
the shooting, the half court shots, I called it. We got red receipts in the group chat on when I said Dave's pulling up from half court, and I could pull it up and show you guys if you need to. And sure enough,
I believe it.
Nobody cares.
It was
honestly cold takedowns. Of course, he's gonna do it.
Okay, sorry.
Just trying to play a game, guys. Just trying to play the game. Sorry.
But the half court shots
was
fun.
Ask questions.
Him and Steph were going back and forth. Hit one was great. Ryan, we were talking about at the beginning. You said that. Well, let's pull up your quote. You said Dame had to play with the best to realize he wasn't the best. Let me say it again. Dame had to play with the best to realize he wasn't.
No. The best. Okay. All right.
It didn't age very well.
I feel that way. I said sometimes you have to play with the best to realize you don't belong. And then
that's a fact, but maybe not in regards to Dame.
But okay, and I will say, that's not my statement doesn't make any sense when it comes to an All-Star game, because an All-Star game doesn't show any skill. It really doesn't. And so I think it's one of those, like, you got to be like in an NBA Finals against LeBron, right? And that's where you're gonna prove where you're at and like the superstar. Going back to that argument, but it was more trying to piss off Mike, and I think I achieved that pretty well. But then Mike got the last word because Dame just went on the tear the last 2.5 quarters.
I could be wrong, but I don't feel like Dame's typically, he's a 6-time All-Star. I can't remember in the past 5 if he plays all that well in these games. Maybe he puts up 10, 15 points, but this was really the first time where I feel like Dame kind of showed out a little bit and showed that he's legit.
Memorable.
And we've talked a lot about
last
Dame.
Year, like 2018 before.
Okay.
That's not a lot in an All-Star game.
I know. I mean, that's for what he did. Like, I felt like yesterday was finally him playing. I mean, another example of him playing well on a national stage, which is what he needs to do more of to get that kind of notoriety that we talk about. But I'm just.
But let me ask that question to you guys, though. Do you think, to your point, does kind of flipping it back on you guys. Yes, it's a big stage. Everybody's watching, you would think. Is it a chance to do more than what you normally do? Or are you just going to continue to do what you always do, which is shoot 40-foot threes? Like, is this a chance for him to kind of like showcase just how well-rounded his game is and all the many facets it has? Or is it just like, look, just because y'all fall asleep at 10 o'clock Eastern time, you're never going to see these 30-footers, so I have to do them now, when it's peak prime time? I'm just curious.
I think it was more of a chance to show everyone who's obsessed with Curry and thinks he's way better than Dame that Dame can actually do stuff that Curry does.
Yeah,
because they were both going at it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't know. I think the All-Star game, these guys are trying to have fun. I don't know that you rarely see Dame smile and have fun, you almost feel like for the first half, I was watching, I was like, dude, you're at the All-Star game. Like, have fun. Like, just like let it loose a little bit. And he started to do it in the second half a little bit, but he played well. I mean, I think someone pulled up, I saw a tweet, someone pulled up Steph and Dame's stats for the year side by side, and they're basically identical. And Steph's averaging 29, Dame's averaging 29. Dame has more assists, 8 versus 6, both averaging 5 rebounds, both shooting crazy percentages. And they're both number 1 and number 2, respectively, in plus minus for the year.
They're the 2 best point guards in the league, and you can interchange them however you want. And I don't think anyone would argue.
Yeah, it was fun. I thought overall it was a good night for the Blazers. I mean, Robert Covington showed up. He got spanked by Vucevic, but he was very involved in the NBA's
Shoot that bitch.
He was very involved in the NBA's HBCU plans. They talked about Rocco building a practice facility at Tennessee State. Obviously, Anthony won the dunk contest, and Dame was the second highest scoring player in the All-Star game. So Blazers showed up, man. Blazers showed up for sure. But yeah, it was good. It is what it is. You got to accept the All-Star game for what it is at the end of the day.
He just couldn't beat out Greek Cheeks for the MVP.
Yeah, you knew it was going to Giannis, Mike. We were texting right as they were about to announce it, and you said it's going to be Giannis. You hope you kind of.
Yeah, he didn't miss a shot.
Didn't miss a shot. We got into that earlier.
It's hard.
Good.
What did you guys think of the jerseys? This was typically jerseys, and Adidas has made these for a long time. Nike's made them the past couple of years, but typically the jerseys are red, white, and blue, black and white, like some kind of very basic, kind of safe, classic All-Star game jerseys. This was the first time we saw blue and yellow come in. Ryan, you talked a little bit about the background. What were your thoughts on the jerseys?
I loved them. Had the game been played where it should have been played, but obviously due to COVID, wasn't going to happen in Indianapolis. But I do like the idea behind the jerseys, how it's inspired by the history of the host franchise, the host city. Mm-hmm. So these were all obviously throwbacks to late 80s, early 90s Pacers uniforms. So I love the idea. It just didn't work when you're in Atlanta, but obviously logistics and supply chain and all the merchandising that goes on in the background, there's no way you're going to get a new jersey in place and design and all that stuff, now that the game was in Atlanta. But I do think going forward, I would love to continue to see this to where each city, you kind of pay tribute to that city with the respective uniforms. Like when we talked about in one of the first episodes, our favorite All-Star jerseys of all time. I thought the San Antonio ones were sick. I thought the Cactus ones, I think with Phoenix, were sick. Like those, I think really need a little bit more into the culture, into the location they were playing in. We'll love to kind of see that be like a consistent theme year after year.
Yeah, I didn't know. So my first reaction was I didn't know the inspiration to me not doing any research on behind it, and was very confused by the yellow. But once I heard that, I definitely warmed up to him a little bit. Mike, what were your thoughts on the jerseys?
Yeah, I forgot that that's where the All-Star game was supposed to be played, to be honest. So it makes sense. I thought the yellow ones were dope. I liked them both, but I thought the yellow ones were really sick. I thought they were clean. But I agree with Ryan. I mean, we were talking about our favorites in that first episode, and we went back to both of the ones that Ryan mentioned. So why would they not stick with that going forward, move away from the basic white and black, red, white, and blue like you were talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all we got for All-Star game. It was a good time. Some good takes, boys, I guess. Good recaps. Winners and losers. Zers were a winner. Who was another winner from the weekend? Obviously, maybe Steph. Ryan, who was a big winner? Give me a winner and a loser from the All-Star game overall.
Oh, man, the losers are the Sixers, man, just because of, Doc Rivers somehow being the coach, and then Embiid and Simmons missing out. So, I would love to have seen Embiid in the All-Star game setting. He's right now the front runner for MVP. So you obviously want to see the best player in the league on that stage. So, but I think the winner from the weekend, I think Mike said it, or you probably both said it, but I think Steph, I think it's a great reminder that Steph isn't gone. Like, Steph is nowhere close to being done. Now, it's crazy to think that Steph is 33, right? I never realized that. He wasn't your typical one-and-done pro, right? At Davidson, he definitely played, all 4 years. And so he definitely came in as an older rookie compared to the rookies nowadays. So he's 33 in his prime. I think he's just out here to remind people that I'm still an MVP, 2-time MVP. I'm still a 3-time NBA champion. And when I get my boy back, Klay Thompson, and maybe, my other guys start to improve, the Warriors could be back at it again, man, in a couple of years from now. It's crazy to say that, but like between Wiseman and Draymond and Thompson and if Wiggins starts doing anything but nothing, I think the Warriors could be legit. And I think Steph's out here to just remind people, humbly that I'm still the best player in the league in his opinion. And this whole weekend, I thought he got me hooked again as far as just being a very captivating player that you have to tune in to watch.
Yeah. Mike, what about you? Give me a winner and a loser.
Loser. I don't even think he's a loser, man. Cassius Stanley, I just feel bad for him for the slam dunk contest. He got gypped with that first dunk, and then he was kind of just forced to throw something up in the second one after he missed his attempt twice. Yeah. He kind of, dude, I think he should have just stuck with whatever he was trying to do the second dunk because he needed the points.
Yeah.
Winners, Doze, you said it, deserves everyone. Ant, Rocco, Dame hitting the game winner, capping off the whole night. I was a very proud Zers fan last night.
Yes. We don't get a lot of shine a lot of times in those moments, and it was good. Dame hitting that game winner. Steph took the first attempt and missed. You knew Dame was coming down next. Steph even turned around.
Steph knew it was happening, right?
And tapped the wrist.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Waving.
That was cool. That'll be what's one of those moments talked about for a long time is the half court shots, I think, from that game. So it's a good time. Good job, Dame. Yellow jerseys were dope. But before we wrap this episode up, we got to look a little bit ahead to the second half and play a little would you rather. So I've got a couple of high-level questions, a couple of high-level would you rathers before we wrap this thing up. And Ryan, can you go? You can go play some COD.
Don't mind if I do.
Past COD time.
But number one, would you rather be in the position of the Jazz, first in the West? You've got the entire Western Conference about to chase you in a very competitive conference. Be in the position of the Jazz, exceeding expectations, or would you rather be in the position of the Sixers, who have a team like the Nets, getting Blake Griffin, got a lot of steam behind them. Who knows what's going on with Sixers and COVID and all that. Which team would you rather be right now, leading the West as the Jazz or leading the East as the Sixers? Mike, go to you.
I'd rather be the Sixers right now because if you're the Jazz and you're in first place, there are so many teams that are right on their heels. They have like 3, 4, maybe even 5 teams that could catch the 1 seed. Realistically, could catch the 1 seed just based off how many games they are back and just how competitive the West is. It's just stacked. Whereas the Sixers only really have to worry about one team. Maybe the Bucks too. I haven't really looked at the standings recently, but I think I'd rather be the Sixers. You just have less teams to worry about over there.
Yeah, definitely have the Nets to worry about. If the Celtics can kind of figure things out, you got to think they'll be somewhat in the playoff picture. Giannis, you can't ignore Giannis and the Bucks, but the West definitely seems deeper. You're going to have LeBron in second half, go mode, which kind of leads me into my next question. But Ryan, first, would you rather be the Jazz or the Sixers?
I would rather be the Jazz. And here's why. I do think they're going to have some difficult stretches in the second half of the season. I do think ultimately they'll probably be the top seed in the West, but I think it's good for them to be battle tested heading into the playoffs. I really do. I do think they need to experience adversity. I think they do need to experience a losing streak. That way they can kind of see what they're made of. And then by the time it's postseason, you're going to see a Jazz team that's kind of figured out, how good they can be. Not to lean into Doza's alma mater and favorite team, but I think Michigan State every year does exactly that. They have this brutal non-conference schedule. They play fucking Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, you name it. They play everybody, and they lose probably half of those games. But it's good because it's good for the team that when March Madness comes, they've been there. They've played the best already, so they know what to expect. So I kind of liken that to the Jazz in the sense that the Jazz do need to go through some similar tough stretches because it will benefit them in the long run.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jazz too.
You brought it. Hold on one sec. I agree with Ryan actually on the Jazz. They have the easiest second half schedule in the whole NBA.
Yeah.
That was released. So, and they've positioned themselves to just add on to that first place lead. So they're in a good spot.
They are. I also think it's interesting. A lot of Jazz slander. Donovan, Rudy, Conley slander coming out of the weekend All-Star game.
There should be zero Conley slander. How dare they?
I think you're going to see Donovan Mitchell come out and want to freaking rip somebody's head off at the rim, man. I don't know. I think
does he have that dog in him?
We'll find out. We're going to find out this second half, and I'm excited to see that. I think you'll either see Donovan, kind of plateau, and this will be what he is, and you're looking at it, and he's a good player, but he's not maybe that next level player, or you're going to see Donovan lead the Jazz to the number 1 seed in the West and kind of solidify his presence in the NBA. So I'm excited to watch Donovan. I think he's been asked multiple times about all this Jazz hate and being picked second last and all this stuff.
Get over it, guys.
And he handles it well. He handles it well, but I feel like he's just gonna unleash on the court. So we'll see.
He should, bro. Yeah.
We'll see. I like Donovan. I'm a fan of him. I think I'm a fan of the Jazz. Ryan, I know you've got some affinity there, so I'll pull for the Jazz the second half. Speaking of a team chasing the Jazz, though, the Lakers. If you're LeBron, imagine you're LeBron James, both of you. Ryan, don't go there.
That'd be nice.
Ryan's going down the BFD route. But
check.
Big fucking dude.
Yeah, he's a unit.
If you are LeBron James in this second half, would you rather grind, put in the minutes, and win your 5th MVP? You tie, MJ for the second most all time, and he just goes on a tear the second half, chases down the Jazz, the whole thing, just puts in 36 minutes a game, wins MVP, the whole deal. Would you rather do that and maybe be a little bit gassed heading into the playoffs? Or would you rather play 30 minutes a game, coast into a 3 seed, and turn it on in the playoffs and whoop on the, whoever, the Mavericks or something in the playoff? What would you rather do, Ryan? I'll go to you first.
I want to comment. There's never any plates at Superstore. I think this game is so fucking bugged. It's unreal. Secondly,
currently
I think I am in Verdosk. I think it depends who you ask. I think if you're asking LeBron, I think LeBron always is all about the championships. He says he is, but I do think he does care about the individual accolades more than he lets people, be led on to believe. But if you ask his teammates, I think you'd want them to say, "Hey, man, like chill. Like we need you for the playoffs, right?" But I think LeBron's going to win another MVP or two before his career's over. I really do. I think he's good enough. I always, and I say this every episode, I feel like, but I will always say that we have never seen like peak LeBron. I still think he's got it in there somewhere. He just decides kind of when to show it and when not to show it. But when he is, turning it on, it's fucking beautiful to watch. So if I'm LeBron, I think he can do both. I really do. I mean, he takes care of his body super well, invests, what do you say, $2 million a year just in overall recovery for his body, which is insane. So I do think he's a 26-year-old in a 36-year-old body. You know what I mean? So I do think he can do both. I would love to see him do both. I would love to see him prove that, that there's no such thing as exhaustion when it comes to people winning multiple MVPs, that it can be done, that the player's good enough, they deserve to win the award regardless of winning it, 4 times before. So I want to see him do both. I think he should. And I think he will at first. But if they keep losing though, then I can see him backing off on one of those if it's not producing wins. Interesting.
We'll see what happens with AD. If they get him back and can kind of pick it up. Mike, I know you're a LeBron fan. If you're him, are you trying to grind for MVP number 5 and the number 1 seed, or are you okay with letting the Jazz think they're the best team in the West and meeting them in the second round.
No, I agree with Ryan, 100p, that LeBron will say he wants to win a championship, doesn't care about the personal accolades, but I would argue that he deep down does. He's got that Michael Jordan GOAT status in the back of his head.
Yeah.
Says he doesn't have to prove anything, but he knows he does. And on the flip side, I don't think there's such thing as coasting into a 3 seed in the West right now. Like, he has to turn it on. I don't think he really has
That's
a
a
choice.
great point.
That's a good point.
And with AD out, he's got to turn it on even more. So he might just be kind of forced into having to play like an MVP, and it might just fall in his lap by season's end, because right now his team's struggling and they kind of need him to do that.
Yeah, good point. Great point. Last question regarding our beloved Blazers. Blazers, after coming, holding strong in the first half, one of their best records in the past 5 years without CJ and Nurk. Trade deadline approaching. Would you rather, we know we're getting CJ and Nurk back soon, Mike. Would you rather see the Blazers kind of just hold serve and stick with the chips that we got and ride these guys out? And, let's see what we can be with full strength, full squad.
Full
squad on Ryan. Or would you rather see the Blazers? Or would you rather see the Blazers make a move? What do you think? I think I know what you're going to say, but let's hear it.
Well, I mean, my answer would have been way different, I think, if we asked this as soon as Nurk and CJ went down, because I thought we were royally fucked, to be honest.
to put it mildly.
I thought we were screwed. Yeah, exactly. Just putting it blunt. But based off where they're at mid-season at the All-Star break, 7 games above 500, and to see what the role players did and stepped up, and Dame obviously carried them along the way. I don't think there's really a need to go out and get somebody, especially trade-wise. I don't think they have assets to go get anybody. Doze is online on COD now.
The app is glitched. We learned that before, because I remember it was like 2:00 on a Wednesday. I'm like,
right
what
here,
the fuck?
bro.
Where's my invite?
I'm literally looking at you.
But I think so. I don't think a trade's going to happen. I was hoping it was like a buyout situation where they were going to get like Blake Griffin or something just for shits and giggles.
You wanted him,
but
you wanted him.
I did. I wanted him. Like, why not throw a Blake Griffin name on the roster? It looks good. It's kind of scary when you're going against other teams.
I just rage quit because I can't.
Could the rotation
but
handle it?
I don't think so. There's no room for the guys we have now. I mean, this is the deepest team the Blazers have had in a long time when they're healthy. Yeah. So when CJ and Nurk are back, they're just going to be even better. So I just keep who we got right now.
Yeah. Well, they're going to get thrown into it right away. I think our first game after the break is Phoenix Suns on Thursday.
Shout out Riley.
I think they got us last time, so we will see. It'll be a good game for sure.
Oh, they more than got us. I think they won by 40.
I believe the title of our episode was Zers Got Bodied, Phoenix Suns edition.
Yep. True. Let's flip that. Say Phoenix Got Bodied, Zers edition.
So, or it'll just be Zers Got Bodied, Suns edition part 2.
Sorry, Riley.
We'll see, man. It'll be good. I'm excited for the second half.
Riles.
Riles. Shout out Riles.
Wait, Doze, you didn't ask me about the whole trade situation, and I want to tell you what I think.
You're mid-cod. Trade
everybody but Stotts. He's the only good part about your team right now. Keep Stotts.
What? Tater
no, honestly, that was a hot take. That was HoopRipz. I think you're too far into the season with the guys you have. You got to keep the squad together, man. Keep them together. They got all the pieces. They just need to wake up motherfucking Rodney Hood and then have Gary Trent shoot about 4 times less per game. Pick quality over quantity. It really is about they have all the answers, man. Now, I'm not saying they're a championship team, but I do think they have a chance to make it relatively deep into the playoffs, at least into the quarterfinals. At least into the quarterfinals.
That's where it starts.
Well, then that's first round. No, it goes it goes first round, quarterfinals,
second round.
Yeah, and then they have the semifinals, right?
Are we sure?
Yeah, you're right.
I think
it doesn't start at the quarterfinals and go right into semis, aka the Western. Wait, yeah, it doesn't go to the Western Conference Finals.
The first round is the conference quarterfinals.
I think
I think
Where the hell's the bracket?
No. I think those is right. I think we're both right. I think if you look at a bracket, it's like
It's not the quarterfinals overall.
semifinals, finals.
Yeah.
It's
per conference,
so
yes.
Sure. Okay, they will make it into the second round. That since there's a lot of confusion right now that it just caused. They'll make it to the second round. But if they win that 4 or 5 matchup and it's like the Clippers, dude, then they have a chance to beat.
You said it. 4 or 5 matchup in the West is going to be the best.
They'll be in the conference finals, 100%. That team will be in the conference finals. I really believe that. I think the Lakers, they're not going to repeat this year as champions. No shot. Even without the Nets, I still think they wouldn't.
You're going to put 100p on there?
I'll put 150p on there. I'm going to keep it.
150p. Lakers not repeating as champs.
I think the Nets, regardless of whether or not they get Harden, I still think the Nets. I still think the Lakers were not going to repeat as champions. You can just tell. I mean, you can just get the feeling when you watch them play. They look exhausted, man. They look like they're just like going through the motions. And Frank Vogel is not a coach. They have Dutters. If Dutters is in the fucking game, then it's
McButters, bro.
Frank Vogel is not a coach. He's a chaperone.
Yeah. Remember Butters from South Park? loved Butters from South Park. One of my favorite characters of all time. So
we got some
South Park
lovers
man
on
would
here,
not
bro.
last in these times.
Dude,
I just saw like
Office.
everything's getting canceled. Dr. Seuss got canceled. Pepe Le Pew from Looney Tunes got canceled. Everything.
They want to cancel Eminem.
Pepe Le Pew is a perf. Okay, we've known that for years, so that's like long overdosed.
Well, fuck, cancel Ryan then.
No.
Not me.
Oh man. Hey, HoopRipz, this was fun, man. Thank you for being here. Episode 19, All-Star Game recap. Zers are coming out hot. Lakers ain't winning the championship, according to the coach, Coach Bombay, self-proclaimed Coach Bombay, by the way. And remember, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, I still only got 10 subs, guys. Trying to add 3 zeros to that, all right? So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you like the video, man.
Yeah, come on, man.
Like the video.
Like the film, man.
All right, that's enough. See y'all later.
Okay, bye.